We're Red Rook Films, and this is the first of our Grumpy Old Men reviews. Today we are reviewing...
Testify. Bring your word if it's worth it's fine. Don't give me maybe. Don't give me I don't know. Baby, you ain't singing when you're crying. See, I was born on a storm. When I get gone, and I don't need any wrong to know better.
Turn on the sound. There's no way to do that. Hey, welcome to Rook. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Carlos.
And we're here today to talk about another streaming show we found. This one's on Netflix. It is right now it's a 4-part documentary. We're kind of hoping they're making more. And it's called The Toys That Made Us. Cue really cool song. Cartoon kids running, shopping for toys.
It's an 8-part documentary series about the toys that we all know. Plastic creations that last for generations and we still cannot let go. Little molded figures that gave us big dreams will go back in time and behind the scenes. It's the toys that made us. The toys that made us is here.
Yes, it was really exciting. I don't know why. I found that one of the most interesting things in the show. So they went through 4 toys that were made pretty much in the late 70s and had most of its heyday in the 80s, which is very helpful to people who were born in the late 70s and grew up in the 80s. And so we thought we'd be pretty good at describing these things.
Very, very expert-like.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's we're gonna start with we're gonna go through each episode in order, and it starts with Star Wars toys.
These toys have become my life.
Go ahead, Carlos.
Once y'all see that episode's great because they actually go very thorough, very detailed. And for all of y'all who always played with either your Millennium Falcon, I hate you because I wanted it, or and anyone who played with the Greedo, which is what I had. It was very much like detailed to where it shows like, hey, this is how that came about. The size, the scale, the details, everything. And it was great.
Star Wars films to date have roughly made $7 billion at the box office. The toys have made twice that amount.
Because I remember going to my buddy's house and he's like, oh, my parents are going to get me the Death Star one. And I was like, hate you. You already had the Millennium Falcon. Why do you need a Death Star? Give me the Millennium Falcon. But there it came about.
Here's something you're gonna hate me. They kept buying me. They knew I was a nerdy kid. They kept buying me Star Wars stuff, Carlos. I didn't want it. I like Star Wars, but I'm not a huge fan. There's a lot of sci-fi that I like a lot more, like Star Trek. I'm a much bigger Star Trek fan, or Stargate, which they didn't have that time, but. I'm trying to make a point here. Oh, the last.
What is your
Starfighter.
point, Caleb?
The Last Starfighter was the stuff that I wanted. If you want to give me toys from a movie, The Last Starfighter was like the best sci-fi in the 80s. It was so great.
I made the Last Starfire ship out of Legos.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
See, that's way cooler than if you had the Millennium Falcon to me. But what we found really interesting were the details and stuff. Like, they were the ones who changed the normal, like, 11, 12-inch dolls that people used to have.
Mm-hmm.
To 3, I think it was 3 3/4 inches.
3 3/4, yeah.
And that was a big game changer. So they can make a lot more, and people could buy a lot more. And also it helped because then you could sell the kids the Millennium Falcon and other big items that these guys can fit into, which is a very smart choice in my opinion. I mean, I guess you could build a Millennium Falcon the size of this table and put one of those bigger dolls in there, but who would pay for that?
Yeah. Don't forget, it was catered to middle income families, and of course, the Millennium Falcon and Death Star was more for the higher income, or those who are spoiled. Brian, you know who you're talking. You know who you are. Circa 84, 85. Anyways.
There's a lot of really interesting little things. Like the reason a smaller company got the Star Wars line, Kenner, Most people who are fans of Star Wars know the name, but not everybody does, because at the time Kenner was just like they're from Cincinnati.
Small.
They were a small toy thing, and it turns out the reason why is because George Lucas would not let the company Fox and who else did Star Wars? What does it matter? He would not let them look for a store company like a year in advance, like most people do. He wanted them to wait till like 6 months so that the stuff like the ships and designs wouldn't get out to the public, which makes sense, especially now in the internet age, but a little surprising back then.
I think he was more paranoid before his time.
True.
He was a man out of time.
When the first boxes were delivered, people were literally attacked. People dove into the boxes.
And you'll see as we go along here, most of these connect to each other because they came out at the same time. Suddenly they just took over everything, just almost overnight. Everybody wanted stuff. And there were other little brilliant things they did. Like, because of the short time period, they were not able to release them by Christmas like you always get. They weren't going to be the big Christmas toy.
No, you don't always get it. Remember, they were one of the first ones. They were probably the first one to actually have merchandising focused to sell so much, according to the movie. The other ones were just an afterthought.
But they couldn't get it out there in time, so instead what they did is they sold you an empty box. You could buy an empty box, and you were guaranteed 3 of the action figures to show up to be mailed to you, and that's brilliant. I can't believe how brilliant that is, because I might have done something like that when I was that big. I was still too small at that point, but I wasn't born. It was 77 when the first one came out?
You weren't even like
79.
anything.
Yeah.
You were nothing.
I was nothing. Thank you for reminding me about that. But I thought that was another brilliant thing they did. They did a lot of brilliant stuff. They also came up with things, and here's one of the things that shocked me the most in the entire documentary. They're like, hey, we want to come up with new vehicles for the Star Wars stuff so we can keep selling things.
Right.
And George Lucas said, that's fine. That sounds interesting. That shocked me, because normally when someone says, hey, George Lucas, I would like to play around the universe of Star Wars, get the hell out of my face. That's what he normally told people.
Don't play in my sandbox.
Yeah, it was kind of like the way he was all the time. But hey, he thought it was interesting to make more toys. Of course, he also, he was also all about that money.
Mm-hmm.
The workmanship in this stuff is unparalleled.
We opened the door.
The second episode was about the Barbie doll.
It grew into a $1 billion franchise.
Now, I've seen this. Carlos has not. So this is mostly me going to be explaining this to Carlos. So first and foremost...
Hold on, I gotta prepare for this. Go ahead.
First and foremost, it starts off with the fact that before this, Barbie's Mattel. And Mattel had toys like Mr. Potato Head, which I didn't know this also. Mr. Potato Head was originally pieces that you put on actual potatoes. I didn't know that. I had a plastic one whose butt came open and you stuck all the stuff in there and you messed around with it. I didn't know that there was originally just like mouths that you stuck on actual potatoes.
Yeah.
Wow. That is interesting. They also did a lot of stuff like coloring books and things like that. Mm-hmm. Someone who was running it, a lady named Ruth, noticed that girls didn't have any real good toys. They had the little cardboard cutout stuff that you change dresses on, the little tabs. And they had babies who were dolls, like so you could pretend to be a mother. And she thought that wasn't very interesting. Like the boys had a lot more interesting toys. They had a lot of cowboy stuff and astronaut stuff and things like that. So she was trying to figure out what to do.
So they didn't have toys where you make a guy move furniture from one side to the other?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Or rearrange a room?
Yeah, the Ken doll.
Interior design, that probably came out of it.
So she was trying to figure out how to do this. She goes to Switzerland on vacation, and this is where it starts to get interesting. She found a doll there that looks exactly like the original Barbie doll, because they kind of just copied her perfectly. Not joking. They made a lot of different changes to like the thing so the leg will bend and things like that, but it looks exactly like the doll. That's not the best part. The doll in Switzerland was from a comic strip from what would be like here, like a National Enquirer magazine about a prostitute.
Sounds about right.
Each thing was just her having sex for money. Was like the comic book strip. And it was like a 1-panel strip in each thing about her having sex for money. And supposedly the doll, and I don't know how this works, but supposedly the doll in Switzerland was you would give it to a girl on a date with to let them know what you were after.
Oh, it makes it so much easier.
And so she was a European whore.
Wait. So the doll that was given.
Yes.
Did it come with accessories?
No.
Or was it just a?
It looked just like a original Barbie doll but with one set of clothes, and she was a whore.
But how would the guy know what the girl would be into?
That you kind of gave it. That's kind of like that was just letting them know this is what I'm after. If you're not for this, you might want to be out of this.
So was it like?
You're asking me. I don't know. I don't know anything about Switzerland.
Please show the jury where you would want to be touched. Is that what it was?
I kind of want it to be that now because that's interesting. So I would like to play in this area.
This area here, don't touch that, and no kissing.
Son of a gun. So Barbie's a whore. Or at least her mother, I guess you can say, was a whore.
Well, she has to cosplay, you know.
And so they made the doll, and they were very excited. But a lot of the people who, while Ruth ran it, there was still like it was a corporation thing. So a lot of the people were all men who were like didn't get it. Why would someone want to dress up a doll over and over again? Exactly. And so like everywhere they took this, nobody really liked it. And then they took it to the moms and girls, and then the moms didn't like it because the moms thought that she was too sexy, and that sexy doll wouldn't be a good thing to have around the house. However, the girls thought that Barbie was well groomed and looked really nice and pretty, and they thought, well, the one thing at the time that moms feared worse was even more than being, having their daughter be available was not be available at all. Because at the time, most girls just, had to marry to have a man take care of them. Not joking. This is part of the documentary. And we just got started.
There hadn't been a sex object like that handed to a little girl.
Because along with Ruth, there was this other gentleman who designed a lot of little things like the leg that bends up and down and the hands and stuff. And he was lucky because he was really overqualified to work for a toy store. So to get him, Ruth offered him 1% royalty.
Oh my God.
So this guy got 1% on Barbie, which made him rich. Rich as heck. I mean, he had the most expensive, for a while he had the most expensive house in Bel Air. He was a rich guy.
So he was so rich he had his own pink top down Corvette.
Cadillac.
He had his own Malibu house.
He had a castle. He built a castle in Bel Air. He also married Zsa Zsa Gabor. He's one of Zsa Zsa's 6 husbands. He had a sex dungeon in that castle. Yes. Crazy. He was an alcoholic. He was probably a sex addict. Damn. This was the designer of Barbie. And it still gets better. It still gets better.
Doing all sorts of things.
Ruth was onto something.
Because Ruth, the lady who came up with all these wonderful things, it's Mattel, so they had Hot Wheels, a lot of great stuff. And at one point, they weren't making money for the first time ever. So what she started to do was cook the books for the stock owners. She would take trucks full of Hot Wheels, take them to a dump site and dump them. No one had bought these things. Go back to the people who take the books and say, right, that the people bought these. And she did that for a few years before getting caught.
How would that benefit?
Because people would still buy stock, and their stock would still be high.
Got it. So, sold higher. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so there was still selling high stock, but she was caught. Yeah.
So not only did Barbie, was she a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, she was also an embezzler. Embezzler. A crooked accountant.
Her dad was an alcoholic sex addict.
Which makes sense if y'all have seen Barbie commercials.
Wow, right? I could not believe how interesting Barbie was, and it just kept going on and on and on. There was a thing in the 80s where Jim was going to come out, and they knew something was going to come out from a different company, and so they got inside information that Jim was going to be a rock star. So they, in 6 months, which they said it usually takes them 18 months, they did 6 months. They designed a Barbie who was a rock and roll star. They came out about 4 months before Jim. So when Jim came out, everybody thought that they copied Jim, the rock star. So Jim went nowhere, and they're very proud of this. They were like, the girls who ran that place at that time were all like, "Yeah, we did
women,
that."
Caleb, women who ran it, please.
I'm sorry, females. They ran that place. Did a really good job.
Non-male gender.
And oh man, it just goes on and on. Turns out the only time they really even got competition was when Bratz came out. If you don't remember Bratz, good for you, because Bratz was terrible.
My niece has got bottom. Yeah. It was like ghetto.
It was ghetto Barbie. That's what Bratz were.
Yeah.
It was like celebrating the fact that you have no class. That's what Bratz was.
And you had eyebrows up to here.
Oh man. There's a ongoing theme too in these shows that I like to talk about that I'll do a brief mention here. It turns out the reason why Barbie had all these jobs, which inspired little girls to be able to do whatever they wanted to do, like be a doctor or an astronaut or anything else, was because they gave Ken the job, and they felt that Barbie needed a matching outfit, not that she was actually going to be working the job. She just needed the matching outfit. Oh, Ken's an astronaut now. Oh, Barbie should have an astronaut outfit to match him so they can look cute together. That's it. There was no like thinking, hey, girls can do whatever they want, which is kind of like what you think sometimes with Barbie, because she's had like a 200 jobs or something like that. No, it was at the beginning, it was just them trying to match the outfits with Ken.
But they can have the outfit?
Yeah, they would design like a cop outfit for Ken, and then they're like, well, we should design something for her too, just so they would look cute together, and the outfits can go together, and you can buy them and stuff. It had nothing to do with like trying to empower girls, which it kind of ended up doing though, because a lot of girls at that age, in the 60s and 70s, you know, started getting jobs like that come the 80s because they grew up on this doll that had all these jobs, and they would imagine being a cop or being a doctor or whatever.
So the women's lib movement was involved.
A huge part of it.
Because of matching outfits.
It was matching outfits. So yeah, like I said, I just watched it for this, and it ended up being probably one of the most interesting episodes out of the 4. So go Barbie, go.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to watch it now.